settlements. They wanted to paralyze the entire region with the idea that these people would never be able to send men, supplies, or anything else to General Washington to reinforce him in the east. Well, as it turned out, they probably succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Even before the year started, the people in Moundsville had, what they referred to as Tomlinson's Fort down there, had written to the governor of Virginia. They said basically, if we do not get some assistance, we will have to quit this place. In fact, and by the end of the year, they had nearly done that. So without any further ado, I believe the battle should begin. In fact, I think by just about any minute, we'll have some Indian infiltrators slipping through your ranks. Be careful, they're dangerous men. Earl, are you seeing any Indians about?
I do believe they may be emerging. I can't quite see them very clearly. I believe on the right side. They're using these corn stalks for cover.
The right. Your other right.
No, it's my right over here.
That right.
There they go. Get them, guys. Get them.
Incidentally, similar to what actually happened during the siege of 1777, when that occurred, you see everyone, there's no one out here. They had a fairly good idea that the Indians were about to launch a large-scale raid. In fact, what really concerned the people was the fact that they knew there was a large one coming, to the point they wondered if the small family forts would actually survive such a raid. Curiously enough, our mock-up of Fort Henry over there is probably, with pass rate, just about the size of a family fort of that time.
You will note that people in the fort have not paid any attention to all this activity in the cornfield. They have lookouts posted, but nothing is being alarmed, nothing is being noticed.
Typically what the Indians would do when they raided, they would come in sometime in the evening or slightly before dark. They'd spread out, they'd reconnoiter their target, they would simply sit and watch. They would count noses, they would see who's there, how prepared these people were, and then about the time first light, all hell would break loose. They would attack, they'd hit in a rush, and they would destroy their target. They'd take the cabin, the blockhouse, whatever that they intended to take.
Joe, I believe these are quite defiant looking Indians. What tribe are they? Do you know?
Well, there were four primary tribes that operated in this area. There were, of course, the Mingo, who we have Mingo Junction named after. They were the ones that actually lived closest to the area. There were the Delaware, who had various camps along the Ohio River. There were the Shawnee, who lived a little further out in central Ohio, places like around Columbus, Chillicothe being an Indian word. And then, of course, there were the Wyandot, who were a sub-tribe of the Huron. They were up in the area of Sandusky, Cleveland, places like that. Now, primarily, in the first siege of Fort Henry, which occurred late in 1777, that was primarily a Wyandot affair with Confederates from other tribes along. It was led by their famous chief Half King.
There's some movement in the cornfield, Joe, but the fort's unaware of it. It's business as usual.
Earl, I might beg to disagree with you. No one's out there tending corn or livestock. I see people up in those blockhouses. They're expecting a fight.
Well, apparently they don't think it's happening at this moment because they're not making any sounds. I have not heard an alarm raised, have you?
No, I haven't.
And that would be what they would do, wouldn't they? That's what we could... Oh, wait a minute, there's movement on the field. I still think they're on guard, but I haven't seen it. More movement. movement in the cornfield, still undetected, unnoticed by the fort.
Well, we have a little of the action here. A quiet thought. While you folks are out there in the heat, just kind of a safety precaution here. These folks that are going to die are going to get up tomorrow and be part of the battle. If someone feels faint, like they haven't had enough water, they might be overheated or something like that, please get to the shade. We don't want to see any real casualties. Just a thought there, okay?
They've moved up to the nearest cornfield to the fort. Still no alarm. I would expect there would have been one by now. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good at all.
Well, the only good thing about it, Earl, there's no one out there for them to take hostage or to kill.
That's true.
I see some movement inside the fort there.
Yes, but I don't think they're aware of the danger. These American Indians were the masters of guerrilla warfare.
If we might borrow the phrase, they would strike with the stealth of ninja and fight with the ferocity of samurai to give you the caliber of warriors that were. And keep in mind, the Indians were a professional fighting man, just as much as their European counterpart, the professional European soldier.
Joe, there's some movement in that far wood, directly across from us.
Well, so far I see a few infiltrators, but no action, Earl.
No action, no. They're waiting for the ideal time.
I believe we have some infiltrators finally in the audience here.
Well, they're likely to come from any direction that gives them an opportunity.
I've seen that fellow right there. I believe he's an American loyalist, British Ranger. Ah, there's his stealthy Indian ally beside him. Kids, watch out. Those are dangerous men.
Still some movement, but no alarm. Everybody seems pretty content in the fort. Yeah, they're not outside to be captured, but they were smart enough to withdraw into the fort, but they do not sense the immediate danger directly here in front of them.
Generally, that was the case when the Indians would strike literally without warning. As you see this time of year, this was the height of the Indian raiding season.
Now, finally, an alarm.
I believe he's demanding surrender.
Well,
Chances are maybe he's hurling insults at the fort, challenging them to come out and fight like men. Apparently they're taking them up on the challenge.
They're coming out.
Very foolish thing to do, Earl. That's how 15 men were killed at the first siege of Fort Henry.
I think they're braver than smart.
Well said. They're coming out. I see cover. I see someone offering them cover.
The
and
Indians
firing
are
walls.
retreating. The Indians are retreating, and this will, of course, I'm sure, be followed by the colonials.
That's the problem. The Indians were the masters of the feigned retreat. The first siege of Fort Henry, when they lured Sam Mason's company out. That's what they did. They lured them out. A large part of the company came out. Finally,
All right, now the battle is set. They're engaged. Casualty. These colonials unaware of the Indians off to the side behind me.
I'm getting low.
Don't these men know they're walking into the jaws of a trap?
Looks like a pincer movement.
Go get him, Bo. Oh my God.
Again, the Indians were literally the masters of hit and run warfare in the woods.
They've drawn them off the field. There's some retreating back near the fort.
You know, an interesting thing, we talk about the Indians, what fine fighting men they were. Of course, their counterparts, the British Army, the German Army, people like that. People often, if you get the idea and wonder what these guys would have been like in actual head-to-head competition, you need only look at such battles as Bushy Run and Braddock's defeat, where they were European armies were rather handled handily by the Indians.
We have an entire contingency of Indians behind this